of the Jets here with me, Steelers
So
JMB,
guys,
and chilling in the background we got Sprint 42, first Super Bowl champion of the Madden 18 cycle,
what up
and
guys?
I'm just gonna briefly run through a couple of things, get a couple input from a couple guys around the league, and see how things are rolling early on in this second season of the cycle. So, just gonna run through a quick recap of our season or our first week games from our second season. In one of the more interesting games of the season, I don't know, did either one of you guys catch the Broncos Raiders overtime game?
I did not.
Mm-mm.
I caught the tail end of it. It was a pretty wild push, um, late by Vegas to force the tie, and then it was it was crazy because like Amari Cooper did what Amari Cooper does and just postered a couple people on his way to 202 yards and 3 touchdowns. I didn't get to see the first half of the game. I tuned in live late, and super entertaining division game there. Um, another another solid first week game. Bills and Packers had a pretty solid shootout, 38-33 final. A-Rod went 370 for 3 touchdowns and a pick. Devontae Adams had 7 receptions for 120 yards. Jimmy G had a pretty up and down game, 200 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But I think the good play here is Buffalo kept grooming his development of Tre'Davious White by getting a pick with him early. Got a couple good return yards out of it. Um, Green Bay drafted Parker Farwell in the first round of our draft for the first offseason. I don't know if either of you guys had him on your draft board. I know you weren't super heavy in the draft sprint. I noticed you traded a lot of your picks,
Yeah, I
but
couldn't tell you half the players available.
so there was this linebacker. He's a 6'4" linebacker. The only reason he dropped in the draft was because he was 24, but he had A
Oh,
minus hit power and B plus tackling, plus B or B plus pursuit. I'm pretty sure. So he had everything you'd want in your linebacker, and he got 6 tackles and a sack in his first game. So that'll be good for his development, considering he's a little later on his age rotation. Another good game um, that you redeemed yourself for today, but we won't get into that particular game because I'd like to stop at week 2. But your week 1 game with the Cowboys, you had a pretty terrible first half and pretty sweet second half, as the scoreboard would show. You want to give us a quick rundown of what went wrong for you? And
yeah, Dallas came out week one, came off the bat, started strong, gave some new looks on defense I hadn't seen, created some turnovers, jumped to an early lead, and then I think if we do 8-minute quarters, I think over the second half, so the last 10 minutes of the game, the last 2 minutes of the third, and then all the fourth. After he went up 33 nothing, we went on a run of a 35-7 run. Started opening up the playbook some more, getting some more looks, but the damage was done already, and the 5 interceptions really came back to bite us as we were able to make it a one-possession game, but couldn't get an onside kick where we would have had a turnover in the first half. It could have been a different story, but yeah, props to Dallas. He came out
yeah, you
and
got to do
won.
like you said. He showed you a bunch of different looks, so clearly something had you confused in the first half, and you fixed it up in the second half. So, like you said, you almost managed to pull it off. You did 35-7 run, so I guess you figured something out, but you dug your hole a little too deep, and it happens to the best of us, man. Um, next really close game actually was another division game. Bucks played the Panthers, and it came down to a 33-31 final. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Bucks won on a game-winning field goal in the final minute. I could be. Let me double check that. I couldn't think I was watching another game, but I think it was that one where yeah, I think it was that one because Tampa Bay has 9 points in the fourth quarter, and yeah, that was a super back and forth game. Like neither team was able to sustain a lead for very long. Pretty entertaining. Jameis went 279, 3 touchdowns, and one interception. He got his new rookie receiver, I think it's Ashley Fabulagy. He got him involved, 3 receptions, 62 and a touchdown. Cam Cam had a pretty rough day for Dog, 250, 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. Curtis Samuel had, I guess, a wide receiver screen for a 75-yard touchdown, or probably one of those like flies where he just ran by everybody. That's a second-year player, so that'll be good for the dev. Mixon had 116 or 18 all-purpose yards, so more work for Mixon. Um, what do we got here? His rookie for Carolina, he drafted a first-round safety, and his rookie safety came up with 6 tackles, one for loss, and a sack. Well, I guess that was his tackle for loss. So on the flip side, Vernon Hargreaves had an interception for the Bucks, and rookie Barry Green had 1.5 sacks for him, as well as Alden Smith, his big offseason acquisition, had 2 sacks as well. So he really got at it on defense. He managed to seemed to be turning around a pretty rough start first season. He got his season off to a good start there against his division mate. Division wins are always sweeter. It gives you good playoff positioning. Um, any games that you caught, Steeler or Jets? I guess I should call you because that might get confusing to listeners.
Yeah, definitely. One I wanted to point out was week one, yeah, with the Saints and the Ravens. If I'm not mistaken, the Saints were pretty bad last year, right? Or they finished 7-9, so
Yeah,
not too bad, but they came out hot.
they started out really weak and then they finished their season on a good note. I think they got 4 of their last 5 wins or 4 of their last 6 were wins. So they finished
Okay.
strong after a rough start to the
Well,
first season.
he definitely picked it up, following that up with a week one win, 64 points.
Yeah.
So definitely that's a huge juggernaut right there. I mean, just to kind of look out for as the season goes. And then one thing I want to point out, even though it's in a losing effort, the Ravens team, apparently his rookie quarterback is actually leading the league in passing yards after 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
definitely something. It looks like Ravens has moved on from Joe Flacco and probably on to bigger and better things. It looks like
Yeah, I had where was it? I seen the stat sheet on what's
he's got almost
the
750 yards.
what's the name on him?
Isn't it Keyshawn Todd?
Keyshawn, that's what it is. Yeah, so we'll go check
Yeah,
that out right now.
yeah. What's really interesting is his accuracies are below average, with his highest being his short accuracy at 73, and then following that up with an 84 throw power that typically doesn't bode for a lot of success. So either he's doing something, or as far as conservative passes, or just a lot of checkdowns. But I'd be very surprised to see what he's doing to get those types of numbers after just 2 weeks.
No doubt, no doubt. What what's really interesting is there's only like out of all the leaders in like the yards and the touchdowns category, there's only 2 that have a passer rating that's over 100. If you account into everything, like after you get down a little further, you get a little splash of Russell, Tom, and who Kirk Cousins, as far as like the numbers go, has been pure efficiency in the first 2 games. 27 for 45 touchdowns, 1 interception for a passer rating of 139. Just gorgeous. And so there's definitely some competition there. And I think it's either in the NFC. I think either Sprint's division or the NFC West probably has like the stiffest because both teams sent 2 teams to the playoffs, one of which went undefeated, and generally those games seem to come out tighter than most other games. I think a close. I think as far as divisions go, the AFC West seemed to be the roughest. As last season, I think all teams ended up around like 8-8, 9-7, and in order to make the
Hmm.
playoffs, you actually had to win that division because of how good Irma's wild card record was, with Bling being what 12-4, I think, or was it 13-3?
I think it was 12.
Yeah, so you have a 12 win division leader, you have an 11 win wild card. So if you guys are all beating the shit out of each other all season and it's a struggle to get to 500, then you're making it a tough road for anyone else in your division to shine, which is they always say the first way to get to the playoffs is just win your division.
Of course, that's the number one rule. So definitely a lot of interesting week one games. A lot of people either picking up where they left off or turning the table as
Yeah,
far
there's
as,
there's been a
scoring,
good
like I said, 64 points.
yeah, there's been a few turning the table. I think Philly, no, not Philly, sorry. Is it Philly? No. Philly is out to a 2-0 start, am I wrong?
Yeah, they're 2-0.
Yeah, so they've got it down after having, I think it was the fifth pick in the draft, which I think they traded down to get Roman Spragan, I think in the later part of the first round. So yeah, Eagles are
It'll
2
be
and 0.
interesting when they play some real competition. They just played the 49ers and Bucks so far.
Well, one thing that really surprised me, and I'm not sure how good like Carter is, but Carson Wentz is not as good in Madden, I think, as he should be from the get-go. Because like I would watch some of his gameplay, and some of the throws Carson Wentz was making looked like some of the throws that I made Deshaun Kaiser make against me in the game I played against Irma. Because out of everyone I played, either Deshaun Kaiser or Mitch Trubisky would have to probably be like the lowest overall quarterback that I was like up against. And so it's strange to me that watching Carson Wentz, I see the same, like I guess animations or whatever you'd want to call it. So I'm wondering if any of his maybe off-season progressions might have helped curb some of those nuances from the game, maybe by boosting his awareness or something.
Definitely could be.
But yeah, just that definitely surprises me. Or as far as like I said, I'm not too familiar with Carter's gameplay, but just again, just seeing how Carson Wentz did him in some situations last year definitely confused me. So, like you said, we'll see what the case is when the real competition gets to him. Um, who else is undefeated? An interesting turnaround also is actually in my conference. The only team with a win is also undefeated in the Bears, who have gone 2-0. And who have the Bears played so far? I think they played Green Bay in week 2. I'm pretty sure he walked on Green Bay. Team schedule. Chicago. The Bears.
Well, just so you know, I'm
Oh,
having the
both division
Steelers.
wins. I wonder if the first one was a force too for Bling not being around. Or sorry,
Yeah,
not
that was
Bling,
before us.
Bloom. Oh, so
So,
okay, so Vikings have two forced L's. That's unfortunate. Poor guy. I hope his knee gets better. Get better, Bloom. Um, that's strange. I wonder what just happened to Steelers. This isn't a private party, is it? Nah, he's good. I'm gonna send him another invite. I wonder if his system just glitched out or something. That's that's a strange one. Alright, well, regardless of that, the show must go on, so let me continue where I left off. So I covered the Bills game, I covered your game, covered the Bucks game, and the Panthers game. I covered the Broncos game. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover from the first week. I didn't really get a big chance to watch the second week because I planned to have this show done for yesterday, so I could do a different one for the second week, but we'll see. Let's see, league schedule, week 2. So in week 2, what was a close game? Dallas and Washington was a close game, 44-36. Do you watch your division teammate games before you play them?
Not personally, not really. No, I honestly don't. It's mostly in-game adjustments I feel that are most beneficial. But I saw on Twitter it was like a close game to the end or whatever.
Yeah, it shows us 44-36. Looking at the box, both teams had a pretty explosive first quarter. Dallas jumping out to a 23-14 lead. The score was then 36-30 at halftime. No score in the
Oh,
third quarter. And then Washington put two scores in the fourth to go up 44-36. So Dallas had the lead and gave it away. Player stats, what do we got here? Oh, Dak Prescott, 4 interceptions. Rough. Rough, rough, rough. No touchdowns either. Zeke ran for 4 touchdowns, though. Samaji Perine fumbled twice. Ugh, that's the worst. I had a game in week 1. Amir Abdullah fumbled twice. One for a game-winning touchdown. And that shit broke my heart. And he's been on the bench ever since.
yeah, I've gotten lucky. I haven't had a fumble yet this season.
Who else? Zeke had a pretty big game, too. 12 carries, 232, 4 touchdowns. His long was
Yeah, personally,
72.
you should run Zeke more, in my opinion.
I feel like if you're doing 12 carries for 232, if you gave him more than 20 touches with possible averages of that, you'd be looking at like a
Yeah.
300 yard per game potential player. And then you run the risk of being unsim.
Oh yeah, I was meant more carries. Like obviously you have to take the yards into consideration, but
But I mean, at the same time, it's like you can't control when you break a run,
yeah, exactly.
but shit happens. All right, let's look at the defense here. Whoa, Jalen Smith really getting into it. Congratulations. Good to see dude back from his ACL injury, even if it's in a video game. 10 tackles, 1 for a loss with a sack. I like those numbers. Xavier Woods, reigning defensive rookie of the year. 4 tackles, no interception. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting game. Must have been to watch. I might go back and take a look at that first quarter because that seems where the most action would have been. Welcome back, Mr. Jets owner. Technical difficulties took him out the game, but he's back like. Oh wait, I can't say that. That's inappropriate. Um. All right, a lot of blowouts here. Chicago 45-17 on Green Bay. New Orleans 40-22 on Carolina. Uh, let's see, 28-17. That might not be a blowout. 14-7 at halftime. 7-3. So well, Carter went up and doesn't look like he looked back after that. What are the
No.
stats looking like? Carson Wentz 2-1, 288 yards. Jameis Winston 2-3, 226. Ugh. Both QBs were sacked for a combined 9 times. Holy hell. I feel like sacks are getting pretty crazy right now. Like a lot of teams are getting like a ridiculous amount of sacks.
I mean, I won't say too much about my game tonight, but I think there was like 13 or 14 sacks in my game against
Well,
Dallas.
through 2 games, Matthew Stafford's been sacked 12 times.
Oh wow.
I was looking actually. Hold on, I was looking at actually a stat in the league earlier of like who are the most sacked quarterbacks. Who was it? Let's see. You're not too far off, but you've also played another game on us. Derek Carr has eaten 18 sacks. Cam's
Damn.
taken 15, but I'm not sure if those are 15 that incorporate scrambles where he got tackled out of the pocket. So I don't know if those are like a clean 15. Same thing for Dak Prescott. Sam Fran's new QB's been sacked 14 times. You've gone down 13 times through 3. Dalton's gone down
Yeah.
13. Simeon 13. Mahomes 12. But Mahomes has played 3 games, so that's 4 sacks a game. Kirk's done 12. I don't know if he's played week 3.
No, I don't
Um,
think so. I doubt it.
I've gone down 12. Luck 10. Kaiser 10. So it's just like I don't know what to make of this many sacks because it seems like I don't know, maybe it has to do with how much time we put into the game as far as like 8-minute quarters. Like maybe this is something you guys are used to as far as numbers, but it just seems like a crazy amount of sacks to me.
I feel like the O lines haven't been as good as they usually are.
I feel like they were better before a certain update, or maybe it's just because I was playing Mutt more, so it just seemed that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I feel like sacks, like, 'cause you stay in the pocket more in the NEFL, so I think it's easier to get more sacks. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
don't know, 'cause that's what sometimes I try to stay in the pocket, and then I just end up like getting like pressure comes through and I get sacked.
Well, usually for me, and I mean, it feels like natural, but like after my third read gets taken away, I feel like I have no choice with the O line that I have in some situations, or at least with the pass rush at hand, but to roll out. But then you roll out and you
Yeah.
have so many risks when you roll out.
Oh
It's like,
yeah.
are you about to get blown up and fumble? Are you about to throw an interception? Oh, so many problems with rolling, especially when you don't have a mobile quarterback. But then when you have a mobile quarterback, your problem becomes you can't throw accurately. Oh, wow. Poor dog. He got railroaded today. The Rams beat him 52-7. I know I said I didn't want to talk about week 3, but my lord.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Huh.
Maybe you shouldn't be
Jeez.
hating on soccer too much.
Me, I like soccer.
No,
My
no, he hates it though. So
Brazilian soccer Serie A, best shit. Everybody's got dance moves. Nobody knows what defense looks like. Not bad. Jets making good work out of his rookie QB.
yeah, if he can talk about it, I don't know if he can talk or.
I don't know. I think his mic might be on mute, or he probably got one of those NAT errors.
We're back. We're back.
There he is.
I had to set up the connection so it didn't happen again.
Word.
Yeah, I know you segued a little bit into the with my quarterback. I think
Yeah, I was just
when you
looking
and
at
I
your
played
game
week
because it was a
one,
close score.
yeah, when you and I played, I kind of kept the training wheels on him,
Hmm.
and because after going through 5, 6 quarterbacks last season, it was kind of a shell shock to me to actually have someone who's decent. So then in my second game with the Texans, I was able to. I think I threw for almost 300 yards, and I think 2 or 3 wide receivers, running back combinations had almost 100 yards. So definitely something I'm going to work on moving forward. I feel pretty much. I feel much more confident throwing with this guy, Tasker, than I was with Bryce Petty and, like I said, a combination of 4 or 5 other guys. So definitely going to be pushing for that rookie of the year.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I hear that. Yeah, you're sitting at 1-1. You got. I was talking about my Amir Abdullah fumble while you were like disconnected. How that broke my heart.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
um,
that was a tough game. You did a really solid job trying to stay balanced when you needed to, and luckily my safety Mays, he has, I believe, 90 hit power. He came in clutch, and then our rookie cornerback also got one of the fumbles, which was surprising, being that he's a corner, but he still was able to come in and get something. So I'm glad we're getting a little better every week.
yeah, week by week, that's how you gotta improve. Um, so we went through a couple of the game recaps. There were a lot more blowouts in week 2 than week 1. So as
That'll
far
happen.
as
Yeah.
yeah, like teams get rolling. Like teams,
Hmm.
some teams
Do you
like
have nerves
sometimes
week one?
injuries. So yeah, we went through um, I don't know. Yo, Sprint, was he in the group when I asked about the Cowboys Redskins game, or is that no? I had to ask you because that's when I think that's when he just got kicked out.
Yeah.
Did you catch the Dallas Redskins game, Jets?
Week 2, right?
Yeah.
I didn't catch it, but it was very surprising to me. I thought, again, I hadn't seen the entire game with Cowboys and Giants week 1, and I didn't know that there was 5 turnovers, which gave the Giants kind of a disadvantage. So I was really surprised to see the Cowboys come in and lose the following week. I thought maybe they were going to have some steam going, and now they've lost 2 in a row. But I know it was definitely a shootout with almost, was that 80 points combined? That's insane.
Yeah, exactly 80 points.
Mm-hmm.
Aries tuning in is telling us to talk about him, but all he has to do is rewind to the part where we spoke pretty big about his turnaround from week 1 and week 2, because I mentioned that he beat the brakes off of Carolina in week 2, and I also
Yep.
mentioned that he had 5 turnovers against the Ravens in week 1. So there's your second shout out, Aries. We love you.
Yeah, no,
So
huge shout out. Definitely 100 points after 2 weeks. That's impressive. We'll see if he can keep it going, though.
no doubt, no doubt. Okay, I spoke on the Philly Tampa Bay game. Um, Whoa, 89 points in the Dolphins and Colts game. Colts get their first win of the season after dropping their first 2. It was a division game. Was it Jeff that he played week 1?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, it
Colts, yeah.
was. So nice to go from a top 5 pick to getting a win early and maybe being able to put a better second season here together.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's all it takes.
Man, the Rams are on a mission. It's looking like this. Like they got blown out week 1, and now it's 2 weeks straight. They're blowing other teams out. I think something happened in that locker room because they put San Fran down 41-20, and I mentioned this a couple moments ago, just before you came back, that their week 3 game they beat the brakes off Carolina 52-7.
Yeah, that'll definitely be something to watch. Like we said, those teams that are coming out of the gate really hot, are they able to keep the same consistency?
Yeah, it's
After a
a
couple weeks, some people have been able to look at the player stats, some streams, some different ways to, like I said, get a bigger advantage. Being the first couple weeks, it's kind of hard. Well, we'll see.
yeah, no
Definitely
doubt.
wish them the best of luck.
No doubt. Let's see. There's got to be a defensive touchdown in here. Yeah, the Rams have a defensive touchdown with middle linebacker Mark Barron. 2 interceptions. 45-yard longest return. So that's probably the one that went for 6. Man, that's a dude playing pretty hungry right now. So that week 1 loss
Good.
seems to have motivated him, and looking like he's moving forward. Any closing thoughts from you boys?
I don't have any now.
No, just want to see how it continues to wrap up. Like I said, we got a lot of surprising things with Saints having 100 points combined after 2 weeks. You got your Ravens quarterback leading the passing in NEFL as a rookie with the attributes that I mentioned earlier. So definitely, like I said, just let's see the consistency.
All right, thank you, fellas. Appreciate y'all joining me, and stay tuned for more NEFL action. Like, comment, subscribe, follow all the streamers we got here. Shit gets intense come playoff time.